This podcast is on the topic of natural leadership, and it has been burning away in my subconscious for weeks now. And I can't lie to you, it's probably even months since I was asked, Liz, what do you mean when you say natural leader? It sounds strange to a lot of people I know who will know me, but even more so to me when I hear myself admit out loud about my procrastination. You see, it really is a mission of mine and of my business to bring you and clients like you out of the shadows and into the full glorious sunshine to make the most of this one perfect opportunity, which is life. Hello, my name's Liz, and thank you for joining me for this recording of the Guru Code podcast, where my whole focus is to unlock the power of your most valuable business asset, which is your mind. When you think small, you play small, and it's in our power to change that. And it is, well, I don't want to say simple, but it is as simple as you want to make it. And today I want to encourage you to discover your natural leadership abilities, or at least plant the seed to tell you you've got one. My obsession for exposing and developing those natural leadership skills and qualities is one of the main business values for what I'm doing. I talk about going unabridged, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, because these things are often very hidden. So to find myself procrastinating over something so important is a real oddity. You think it would be something that I couldn't stop myself from writing about or from speaking about. And I do speak about it, but probably not as focused as today. Maybe it's because I know it flies, or my views certainly fly in the face of traditional hardened leadership coaches and trainers, who basically they rely on quite expensive and lengthy questionnaires and mapping systems to give you that sort of written evidence of your identity, so that you've got something that's, well, it's like putting something, the intangible, into something legible, into something organized, like a framework and a very neat package for you to consume. Or it's a convenient box to put your habitual behavioral responses in, something to put on your CV. However, it's more likely for me to be a wanton need to put the subject or do the subject justice in the most succinct way, to make it really powerful, to make it impactful, and to really inspire all of you, the silent and shy natural leaders out there, to be more. Now, there's a conundrum in itself, isn't it? Have I just told you, or have I just suggested to you that you should be more? No, I am suggesting all of us and all of you who find yourself wanting to be more, that feeling where you go, I'm not good enough, or perhaps thinking you could do better, do in fact have more to give. The fact you're even challenging it is in your mind suggests to me that the pressure and the frustration you feel is absolutely in the right place. It's where you are hiding those natural leadership qualities, and they're just waiting to burst forth. It's that which makes you frustrated, isn't it? For many, the idea of natural leadership may sound airy-fairy, a bit wishy-washy, because it's highly unlikely to be graded by any convenient scoring system. In other arenas, the very concept is recognised, or at least found filed. That nearly went wrong, didn't it? All those. Found filed under the category of soft skills. However, it's anything but soft. If you undertake this type of work, it really demands critical thinking. It requires real personal strength of character and courage, not just to find the answers, but to actually be brave enough and courageous enough to leave those questions open-ended. that willingness to change long-held attitudes and almost wait for those new attitudes and the new beliefs to really bed in. And that really is something that I'm asking you to do today, is just to consider if you're willing to do that. Because the results and the rewards, they are incredible. They are liberating, especially for the person in business or the person in leadership, to be able to work their truth alongside their identity. I mean, there couldn't be a better fit, could there? You know, that's what we're talking about today. That's what I want you to think about. So what is natural leadership? Natural leadership is not about that title or that position. You can't apply for a natural leadership post. I've never seen one. I can't say there isn't one, but I don't believe there is one, so you can't apply for it. Nor is it about that colour grouping. You know, those personality checks where you're either a red person, a green person, a yellow person, or a blue person. You know, anyone would think we had gang mentality of showing our colours. That's what that means, doesn't it, in certain cultures? And it's not about a type or a preferred approach. The idea when you come into business is not to follow someone else's rules or to be like anybody else or to fit in anybody else's box. If anything, we're told, aren't we? You need a differential. You need a USP. So do we all want to be read? I don't blooming think so. So now listen, I'm not discussing that they are, or I'm dismissing that any of these are invaluable, are not valuable. They are incredibly clever and can give you great insights into all sorts of things, all sorts of preferences, but it all depends on circumstance. It all depends on the time of day, the time of month, the time of year. The whole context changes all of this. So, you know, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing them. But what I'm saying is natural leadership is about your willingness to put yourself forward. It's knowing and living your identity. That's what we're talking about, that intangible stuff. It comes from gaining that true understanding of who you are and what you stand for. These are all unspoken words. These are feelings that you get. You start getting that deeper understanding, so it's communicating with you on that level. It comes from gaining a true understanding of the true essence of yourself. In other words, your true essence of what you bring to the table, what you bring to every situation, every conversation. It's every business that you do or organization that you come in with is like the finest fragrance that follows you round. Who we are is how we lead. And for those who don't know who they are, this suggestion and what we're talking about here is scary because we are talking about a concept. It takes somebody quite special, I believe, to really accept this concept. It means responding to every situation, whether it's a crisis or conflict, based purely on the situation in hand. It is being so self-aware that you can manage your emotional responses, that internal dialogue that goes on like a pro. Not allowing judgments or yourself to obstruct your clarity of thought, of what is needed to be achieved. It's the skill of maintaining the forethought that's actually necessary. Listen to that, the forethought that's necessary, and consider that overall ecology of any action you take. It allows you to make the most uncomfortable decision and still be present when the necessary actions are underway. Now that really does take some strength. A lot of people over the years I've seen as leaders will make a decision and then walk away. We're talking the natural leader has the ability to stand there and watch it pan out. It's like making a really fast decision and holding that decision for the right length of time before you perhaps decide that it needs to change track. That's the bravery, that's the courage, that's the confidence that comes from natural leadership. I make no bones about this. Natural leaders do not sit in their ivory towers and lead from afar. They hear and feel the rumbles from the shop floor and the environment in which they're operating. They ignore nothing. And that can be uncomfortable. I remember making a comment, in my last career in the boardroom. And I was doing some lean studies. I was implementing some changes. And I happened to say, and it comes from lean, that the further away a leader or a manager gets, the less, or when I say the further away, the further up the career ladder somebody gets, the less value they bring to the customer. And I believe my remarks really hit home, because they were echoed back to me on more than one occasion in the preceding months. Apologies? No, not on your Nelly. I meant it, and I still do. But because natural leadership embraces the whole workforce and beyond, and it keeps that thread of accountability right the way through to that baseline. Natural leadership is such a great leveler, because it allows you to have that connection and to be connected with your business, with your purpose, and your client and your customer and your employees is probably the strongest line towards success that we are ever likely going to have. There was a comment made on television last night, maybe during the week, about countries and their highest disproportion of poverty to wealth were the happiest to live in. And I believe that translates to us and our business, that the bigger the rift between who we are and what our purpose is and our business and how our business operates makes it an unhappy place to be. So it's about bringing that back. Now, Brené Brown in Dare to Lead said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man's stumbles, or the doer of deeds who could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, who at best, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly." And that is human. That is absolutely your natural leader all the way through. And you have that. So why don't we embrace natural leadership? You just look around and you'll know that we don't always do it. Natural leadership requires the exploration of those harder to reach values and beliefs. It absolutely challenges your frame of reference. For so many, this is probably more exposing and more challenging than the majority of people are prepared to go, because they don't always have to. They can struggle through. It does mean peeling back the layers of the proverbial onion and challenging each layer as on its authenticity and value, and thus its need to even exist. John Maxwell. It's an old one, but I love it. Leadership is not about titles and positions or flowcharts. It is about one life influencing another. In my experience of leadership trainings, the surface is barely scratched when it comes to this topic, focusing in the main on external skills such as team dynamics, change management, influence and negotiation and communication, and the certification at the end, because it goes on CVs. So the reason being, the trainings can be mass produced, systemized, results measured and quantified. But have you the leader you want at the end of it? Are you the person who truly understands you at the end of it? You see, none of this is natural leadership. You don't draw out the true leader from these frameworks and tools by just identifying responsibilities which fall under those roles of a leader in the familiar sense. When push comes to shove, when you are in a tight spot facing a crisis or a difficult decision, and you need to dig deep, get my teeth in, dig deep into your reserves as a leader, what are you going to find? Do you know what you're going to draw on? Do you know what exists under there? Because sometimes that's the bit that makes us nervous. That's the bit that's scary. Do I have the foundation I need to do this? That's what will wake you up at 3 a.m. in the morning. Do I have it in me? This is where the work needs to come from. Our natural response is to revert to type. Like an elastic band, when the elastic band is overstretched, the resistance, the resistance starts to falter and the elastic band starts to break in order to return to its natural order. And when you've done this work, that elastic band will only ever be stretched to what the capacity it can actually stretch to, because your capacity as a leader is infinite. It is at times like this when your true character comes into its own. This is when all the work you have done on beliefs, your values, your decision-making processes are all more powerful and resilient because of it. It's what will help you not retreat just when you need to be making progress. That's when you want to be pushing forward, when things are getting really tight. We need to be breaking through that glass ceiling. If you choose to show up as a natural lead from a natural leader perspective, you choose to face failures. You choose to face fear in the face of fear. Disappointment, rejection, and isolation are all part of what you accept. And it is that which stops so many amazing people from becoming natural leaders, because it is exposing. Rather, they would hide behind those procedures, the guidelines, and the policies. That's what will make the difference between you and your competitors. The ability to stand your ground. Everyone, in my belief, has natural leadership qualities. The work you enter into will help you expand your self-awareness. You will identify the leadership environment which will naturally suit you best. There's no more squeezing your foot into a shoe that is too small for you. You will start to run your business differently. You will lead and attract your teams differently. And the service you offer to your customers will be attractive to those customers that you actually want. No more shoehorning, yourself into a space that isn't your shape. So becoming a natural leader, what is that going to look like? To release that fire and brilliance of the diamond requires certain treatments and being exposed to the hands of a craftsman. So whatever these treatments are and who the craftsperson might be is the choice best discovered by the rough diamond themselves. All the best outcomes evolve when they come, and they evolve from having that quality of a trusted relationship. I want to leave you with a thought just to inspire you to undertake your own exploration into this self-discovery by asking you a question, if I may. And that is, have you ever picked up a stone from a seashore, chosen because you've seen the colour and the shine and the patterning just in those waves as they break over the top, only to find when you take it home and you pull it out of your pocket, it is dull, flat, uninteresting, like just any other stone that was on that beach. That to me is the difference between a natural leader, aka the pebble dancing in the shoreline, showing its natural depth of colour, the true characteristics, and that of many other people in leadership roles, aka those pebbles which are lying on the beach. You have to be prepared to expose yourself, to bring out your brand, your natural leadership. That is your brand. Don't lie with the masses. You have one life full of vision, full of purpose and promise, and you will not experience it if you don't know who you are and you don't experience it from your perspective. So I've got 3 top suggestions just to start you on that right track, on that road to self-discovery. The first one, and I promise none of these are out of scope for anybody. The first one is read. Either read or listen to the books, those self-help books, those self-discovery books, those self-development books that, starting with something like a Brené Brown, Dare to Lead. I found her writing a couple of years ago, and she has some of the most easily absorbable information and research that I think will inspire you to keep going. 2, YouTube. You cannot go wrong with a Simon Sinek, a Seth Godin, again a Brené Brown, an old but so valuable, a John C. Maxwell. Look them up. They all have messages for us, and everybody will take a different message at a different time, because that's where you are in your road to discovery. And 3, make the decision. Do you want to make the most of your natural leadership qualities? Do you want to make the most out of your business and really, bring the fire and the brilliance of a diamond to your business and to your life? I can't thank you enough for listening to this episode. I hope it was inspiring and thought-provoking. Do let me know your thoughts. All the information will be in the notes underneath here. And anyway, I'd just like to thank you for your time, because I know how precious time is. So you've been listening to Liz from the Guru Code, and I'll see you again another day. Thank you.